What is the most messed up thing your ex did after a breakup? Story number 1. She stole my modded Nintendo Wii with my special edition gold Zelda Wii Mote and nunchuck. I'm still salty 10 years later. Story number 2. She sent her cousin after me to try to get him to fight me. It didn't work out for her cousin though. Story number 3. This happened back in the 90s, and a year and a half after we broke up. Her college roommate saw me at a grocery store in College Town. A. Psycho X lived in College Town. B. A half-hour away from town. A. I was up visiting a beneficial friend at the time, after having just moved back home from California, and we hung out all night with a bunch of her friends. The next day, I got a very angry call from my dad. Her dad had called him, threatening all manner of legal action. He was a lawyer and a full-bird colonel in the Air Force, and that he was going to have the cops arrest me, and that I was to contact him immediately. Apparently, Psycho X told her dad I had driven to College Town. B. Somehow found out where she lived, dragged her out of her house, into my car, then proceeded to beat her. She also claimed I had been stalking her, and she'd seen me in a car that wasn't mine sitting across the street from her place several times over the previous months. So, I go home and call her dad back. I listen to the slew of BS she's claimed, threats that he's immediately going to call the police and have me prosecuted, threats of restraining orders and civil lawsuits. I ask him what time I have allegedly done this. Then I ask if he's finished. Then I inform him that not only was I a half-hour away from his little psycho princess when she claims I kidnapped and assaulted her, but that I have about 25 people who can verify that, in addition to my beneficial friend, and that I had to sign in and sign out at beneficial friend's dorm, so there's even a paper trail to prove it. I then go on to inform him that, during all the times his psycho princess claims I was sitting outside her house, in a car I never owned. By the way, I, in fact, lived 1,600 miles away in a different state entirely. I told him to please call the cops, as I'll have her arrested for filing a false report, and that I'd happily counter-sue her for malicious prosecution, and that if I even saw a picture of her again, I'd slap her with the restraining order so fast her big dumb head would explode. Her dad tolerated zero bullpoop, so I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when he discussed her potentially life-ruining web of lies after I hung up on him. The whole episode is half the reason I went to law school. It's so easy to make up malicious lies like this. If I hadn't had witnesses and a logbook at a dorm front desk, God only knows what would have happened. Story number 4. He married my sister. Story number 5. We had gotten a credit card with both our names on it. After we split up, she went to town and ran it up to the limit and never paid a dime on it. They came after me for the money. I told them we were divorced and actually got a helpful lady at the credit card company who told me if I could send a copy of the divorce decree, I would only be responsible for the amount up to that day. I sent it in and my part was less than $100. I paid it, leaving my ex with about $10,000 to pay. I'm sure she never did. Story number 6. She stalked me and went to the cops, accusing me of something bad. Wasn't a bright idea, as I had pictures of her following me, and texts saying she would ruin my life if I didn't get back together with her. She was eventually arrested for filing a false police report, and I got a restraining order on her. Story number 7. She banged a couple friends of mine and then banged a guy I really don't like. Then, during visits to the home where I would see my children, she would play a little game where she'd allude to having banged someone I know. Then she'd slowly add more details, and then let a name slip and go, "Oops, haha, shouldn't have said that. I just wanted to see my kids." Story number 8. After regular begging for me to come back didn't work, she kept texting me, "I have something I need to tell you," and implying that she was pregnant, but not actually coming right out and saying what she needed to tell me. I refused to meet her alone again, because I didn't trust her at all. I told her to either text me or call me and come right out and say what she had to say. She never did. She apparently wasn't pregnant, so I assumed it was a last-ditch ploy to get me back. Story number 9. Said she was pregnant and sent me a positive test. I searched positive pregnancy test results on Google Image. It was the first one to pop up, Story number 10. She locked my dogs in a bedroom while I was out of the country for work. They were in there for at least one day from what I gathered. Left her house keys in the door. Then she emptied my bank account that I gave her access to before leaving to purchase things for our wedding. The following Monday, she tried to call my boss to make a complaint that I had assaulted her. My boss wasn't my boss any longer, as I had moved to a new team while in India. Why did she do all this? According to her, she wanted to inflict the most amount of damage she could. I was isolated from friends and family and any support. All of this because she was cheating and wanted to run away with the other partner. She faced no legal or social repercussions for any of it. She's a monster. Story number 11. Mine is particularly tame, but it continued to show the level of disrespect she held for me. I got tired of her cheating and being an absolute slob and a mooch who quit every job she could get, so I kicked her out. However, she continued to come around and try to be with the family. A family, mind you, that only put up with her because I thought I was in love. And she'd even bring strangers to the house without ever clearing it with me first. I finally told her she is not allowed near me or my family anymore. It was a frustrating few years. Story number 12. I came home from work and found most of the furniture and household stuff gone from our apartment. A twin bed and a small dresser were set up in the living room for me. Found out that she had 2 guys from her job come over after I left and moved most of our stuff out to another apartment she had leased on her own, which now explained why we were having money problems, since she was hiding money to split. So 2 guys I didn't know went through all my stuff, clothes, underwear, food, etc. And then, together with my wife, set up some vignette of a life in my living room that smacked me in the face when I opened the door. She didn't even have the decency to call me ahead of time and let me know she was leaving. Story number 13. Started stalking me outside my apartment and following me. Once I confirmed it was her, I called her and told her in no uncertain terms I considered her a threat and would take whatever measures were necessary to maintain my safety. She of course denied everything but did stop stalking me. Story number 14. My ex-wife tried to steal my car. When we got married, we each had our own respective cars going into the marriage. Her car was in her name, and my car was in my name. Throughout our entire relationship and marriage, neither one of us really drove the other's car. So, when we got divorced, she kept her car, and I kept mine. A year or so after the divorce was final, her car got repossessed. What I didn't know when we got divorced was that she still had a set of car keys to my car Corvette. Because auto theft was pretty rampant where I lived, years earlier, I had a secret kill switch installed that my ex-wife didn't know about. Was somewhat surprised when a co-worker told me some woman was out in the parking lot in my car trying to start it. Police were called, but they didn't arrest her because several of her brothers worked as police officers in our town. Thank God I moved away from that mess a year or so later. Story number 15. I dated this girl, and she was my first girlfriend ever. And after we broke up, we agreed to stay friends. Then she got a new boyfriend, and then he told me they started dating while I was dating her. And now, all they do is talk about their relationship right in front of me. I can't say anything about it because my best friend is friends with her and her boyfriend. And if I say anything, then she'll be forced to choose between me or her. I don't want to do that to her, but all they talk about is how much they love each other and how they want to kiss so bad, but can't because long distance. She's also only met this guy in person twice. Story number 16. I had an ex who cheated on me multiple times, and just generally manipulated me emotionally, always lied to me, and never actually came clean about the cheating, even when I had evidence, or when her best friend came to me, because she thought I should know. We finally broke up after 8 years, and I get back out there and start hooking up with someone else. Ended up getting her pregnant, and it was her choice to keep it. My ex heard and called my mom to tell her. Before I had decided to tell anyone in my family, totally blindsided me when I started getting calls and texts from my parents. Anyway, the other woman ended up being the most amazing mother, friend, and partner you could ask for. We've been married for 4 years this summer, and our son will be 5 in the spring. Story 17. They cheated on me, refused to sign the divorce papers, so I had to pay an attorney thousands more to show up to court. Showed up to court, and the judge asked, "Kids? No shared property? No bank accounts? No significant money in them?" Judge literally asked, "Why are you here?" I pointed at her, he sighed, signed the divorce and said, "Next case." Thousands of dollars for literally 2 minutes of court time. Thank you for watching until the end. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.